All right, the UFC 263 winner train continues on here on What This. We have your boy, Eryk Anders, back on the program, picked up a unanimous decision win over Darren Stewart on Saturday night in Glendale, Arizona. Eryk, congrats, man. Good to see you. How are you?
Man, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Another rematch on this card full of rematches. We all knew how the first fight ended. You come back, you get it done with a unanimous decision, huge third round. Do you feel like you have sufficiently put Darren in the rearview mirror?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, I was well on the way to TKOing him the first time in the first round, and got a unanimous decision win this time. So I don't know what else I need to do, you know, to solidify that.
Most people, when they hear your name, they know you as a guy who goes in there, powerful strikes, putting guys away. And when you get yourself into these grueling fights, these wars of attrition, you found yourself on the wrong end of these decisions. Or with the Mearshart fight, there's some questions on whether or not you did enough to win. This one, there were no questions. It was almost universal, everybody scoring the fight for you. Do you take solace in knowing that you can unquestionably come out of these grueling fights without any doubts whatsoever? Was that like a good feeling for you?
Yeah, you know, that's just, you know, I've sacrificed so much to for these fight camps and whatnot that, you know, if I go out there and get knocked out, you know, there's really nothing I can do about that. But, you know, if I have a choice, I'm in the fight, you know, third round, I got to go out there and win. I can't let any more of these fights slip out of my hands in the third round anymore. So, yeah, I just went out there and kind of did what I had to do, you know. So, not like super pleased with my performance, but I am pleased with the win. You know, I'll take it.
Why aren't you super pleased with it?
Just because, man, I think for myself and everybody watching, you know, I thought the fight would be a lot like the first fight was, but it wasn't. It was kind of quite the opposite, you know. So, you know, it is what it is. Darren made some adjustments, and you know, yeah, it is what it is. You know, like I said, at the end of the day, it's all about the W.
I know you didn't have to cut the extra weight to 185, but to me, and my eyes were deceiving me in some way. You looked like better than ever physically. Like you looked in tremendous shape. Like, right in the suit. Like, is this the best condition you've come into a fight in a while? I guess not that you've ever been in bad shape, but I felt like you looked a little. I don't know. You just looked better this time around.
But at 205, 100%. You know, yeah, definitely at 205. You know, I think before I kind of took fighting at 205 for granted, so I didn't really pay attention to the diet or whatever. But you know, I was much more meticulous in my approach for this fight. But I think the fight before this was the best shape I've ever been in at 85. So I got a new strength and conditioning coach, Chad Ike, over there at Fight Ready. And this guy's trained at, you know, people at the Olympic Training Center, NFL athletes, NHL athletes, professional fighters, you name it, he's done it, everything under the sun. So, yeah, I just show up, do what he tells me to do, and, you know, kind of let him guide that portion of the process.
How did you enjoy being back in front of the fans? You got the hometown pop during the intro. Yeah, there were some boo birds during the fight, but I think it was more because a lot of these people probably like locked up for a while. It was their first UFC event in a long time, and they just wanted craziness. They wanted that cartoon-esque kind of fight every single fight for the entire card. So overall, outside of that, did you enjoy being back in front of the people?
Yeah, and I also think that, you know, my fighting style is a brand. You know, when I get in there and fight, like that, people like to see people get knocked out and punched, and, you know, they like the exchanges, and that's kind of what I bring to the table. So, you know, they didn't quite get the your boy brand in this last fight.
Did Darren do anything that surprised you in the fight? I know one thing you mentioned when you were speaking to reporters after the fight is he didn't feel as strong as he may have did in the first fight. He just felt a little different this time around. Outside of that, was there anything he brought to the table that threw you off, that surprised you at all?
He took me down twice. You know, he was looking for the takedown. Maybe because of how the first fight went, he wasn't trying to engage as much on the feet and wanted to clinch fight a little bit more. So I'm not really sure what his exact game plan was, but he did take me down twice, and I haven't been taken down in the fight in quite some time now. So he kind of stole on me with that.
That veteran savvy he brings to the table.
Yeah, I guess.
Seeing how the rest of the night played out with that amazing moment with Brandon Moreno winning the title, the wild ending to the Leon Edwards-Nate Diaz fight, Adesanya's dominant win, could you sort of feel the magic in the air while you were out there fighting, that you were a part of one of those nights that fans are going to be talking about for a while?
Yeah, the atmosphere was crazy. Just walking out, and you could feel like the tension. You could feel the excitement. You could feel the energy. And, I think that's something that I've been missing with these fights, last year and earlier this year, was the energy of the crowd.
What was your biggest takeaway of like the empty arena fights? Not saying that you've had your last one, because it appears that the fight night events are going to be at the Apex for the remainder of the year. Next year, who knows? But just say like you've already fought your last fight in the Apex, the empty arena setting. What was like your biggest takeaway of the experience?
Man, I'm not really sure, because either way, you just got to show up and fight. You can hear your corner, you can hear their corner a lot better and clearer. But, other than that, I prefer the fans. I prefer it just adds an extra element to the game, an extra X factor. When the crowd gets into it, you can't help but have it, fight.
Do you notice the difference between the cage sizes? Like, is that something that is obvious when you're in there?
100%. I prefer the smaller cage. I think the smaller cage is a striker's cage. I'm not like one of the guys who bounces around and moves around and dances around. So, it's a lot easier to cut guys off in there and get them up against the cage.
You've said many times in the past that middleweight is your path to getting to a world title at some point, but it's nice to have the option of going up to 205 if needed. So as a guy who is on the hunt for the middleweight title at some point in your career, did you watch Adesanya's fight against Marvin Vettori? And if so, what did you make of his performance?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm a fight fan, and that night, the other night, it was super cool to go from fighter to fan in the same night. So I went out there, won my fight, took an elevator up to one of the suites, and kicked it with a bunch of teammates and stuff from over there at Fight Ready, and got to sit down, drink a beer, and be a fan of the sport. And that guy is has a lot of like ring generalship, and he's a showman, so he's super fun and exciting to watch. Oh,
so you guys got to stay in the arena this time if you wanted to?
I did. I don't know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, but that's what I did. So, it was cool, man.
Was Captain Eryk in the suite?
He was there with his glasses for sure.
What a character, man. What have you made of, I'm sure you've seen him obviously in the past and builds-ups to different fights, but now that you're working with him, like what have you made of just being able to work with him? He's definitely a character, but a very intelligent character at the same time.
Yeah, he like when I first came to Fight Ready, I was kind of telling Eddie, man, kind of keep that guy away from me, because he seems like a distraction, But man, the guy's world champion. I didn't know like his credentials and stuff, and man, he really is a good coach, a knowledgeable coach, and he's not the guy that you see on Instagram. I hope I'm not like killing his persona or nothing, but what you see on the internet and on Instagram and stuff, that's not like really who he is. That is who he is, but it's like a persona. He really is knowledgeable, and he really is a good guy. You see him in the gym talking and playing with the kids and stuff, and he doesn't have to do that. So I think he's an awesome guy.
Yeah, I got to speak with him in person last week because he was cornering Ilara Joanny, who was supposed to fight on Friday before a fight got canceled. And one of the things he talked about was, what you have added to the team over at Fight Ready. He mentioned you by name, you being a great addition to Fight Ready. Do you feel like you found your home for the foreseeable future with Fight Ready and the squad over there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I know my last two fights have been, with them, against the same opponent, but I think the progression is undeniable, especially in that first one. And then, I've had a real problem in the past with holding guys down once I get them down. And, I was able to hold Darren down for I don't know how long, 3.5, 4 minutes or whatever in the third round. So, I think I'm making, vast improvements in all phases of the game over there. So yeah, I'll be there for a while.
And Marco Madsen's there now?
Yeah, he's there. He's also one of the guys who was showing. He's also another great addition to the team because he likes to coach as well. He didn't have to do that. I'm sure a guy, everybody's asking him questions. A guy with that kind of, that's been in the game that long and, has the credentials that he has. Everybody's trying, how do I do this? How do I do that? But he loves to coach. He loves to teach. So, he showed me some of the stuff that holds somebody on the ground as well. And I, was able to implement it in this last fight. So it's great.
Even though you've been in the UFC for a while now, we're still sort of learning more things about you outside of the fight game. Like you talked about different jobs that you took after your football career, heading into MMA. And one thing that I've found fascinating, kind of taking a look back at like old social media posts, things like that, is back in the day, you were the guy that was borrowing suits for all these different functions, for all these football events. And now you're the guy, you can get your own suits. Like you've built a pretty good life for yourself with fighting and some of the decisions you've made with your money over the last couple of years. Is it kind of surreal to like go back into those old photos and think about those, I guess, humble beginnings to see how far you've come?
Yeah, I laugh at it now, obviously it's pretty frustrating at the time, but now that the situation has changed and I'm not in that situation anymore. It's funny now, I've had to live in a hotel before, with my oldest son. So that's not a good feeling. That's not cool. So, to have my own house, to own several other houses, rental properties and stuff like that. And, I can buy my own suits and my own clothes and stuff like that. Surreal is not surreal is not the word, I don't think, because man, it's what you strive for. That was always been the goal. I even got like a 720 credit score now. My shit used to be like 300, after it's me. That's also the big thing, because man, that credit score makes life a lot easier, and, but what I realized is all this stuff is just a game. Just like fighting, man, you just have to fill out the right paperwork, play the game the right way, and you can make it, So I'm still figuring out the game and, the little gray area and stuff like that, and things what you can and can't get away with. And, just trying to keep moving forward.
It's the little things that don't seem like big things, but they really are. Like the credit scores, like even in MMA, like one little thing, little tweak could make all the difference in a fight. And,
100%.
You mentioned, and then the credit score, things like that, things you take for granted. Now you know how important they are. It makes you not only a well-rounded fighter, but now kind of makes you more of a well-rounded individual, person, father, husband, so forth and so on.
100%. I used to think that you could just buy everything cash and you'll be straight. But man, who has, just a bunch of cash lying around to buy like the home that you're going to raise your kids in and stuff like that. So, man, and to be honest, like I didn't have any of this figured out until I met my wife, and she's really the one who put me on the financial game, cause I'm still not that great with money, but she kind of guides what we do with our money and stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Shout out to the wives out there who are financially responsible. Speaking of financial responsibility, if people took your betting advice, you won some people some money on Saturday because you called both title fights. You said Brandon Moreno was gonna win the title, and that was such a cool thing to watch, man. Like seeing one of the good guys in the sport get his moment, and what a moment that was. What did you think of the co-main event and how it ended in the moment that Brandon Moreno had on Saturday?
It was great, and man, just watching him walk around the hotel, man, he was so loose. He was joking around. He was singing in the hallway. He was on like the top floor singing down to everybody in the lobby. He's such a great guy. His energy is great. And I just, just kind of observing both guys on fight week, I was like, man, my money's on Moreno. He's too loose. Like he's like, the moment's not too big for him, Figueroa, man, he was just kind of just seemed upset all week. You know, it seemed like he was cutting weight, you know, since Wednesday. You know, so I was like, man, if this fight goes past round 3, you know, there's no way he's gonna have enough energy to keep it going, to sustain for 5 rounds. So, yeah, I just felt the Moreno mentally, and just, you know, being around somebody, man, you kind of like feel their energy and feel where they're at mentally. And then he was on point all week.
Yeah. And as far as you go, where does your boy go from that win on Saturday? Like, I know you want to take the summer off and spend some time with the family, but what sort of time frame are you looking at to get back in there?
I'd like to get back there in late October, early November. You know, I was scheduled to fight Ed Herman and Antonio Arroyo, who Antonio didn't get his fight because, you know, whatever happened with Tom Breeze or whatever. So I'd like to fight one of those 2 dudes, just because, like, I was on paper to fight them late last year, and it just didn't happen. So, you know, it's been bothering me, especially Antonio Arroyo, that I got all the way to the scale and didn't make it to the fight. So that one kind of bothers me a little bit. So I'd like to get that one for sure.
There you go. Yeah. Ned Herman just was scheduled to fight, and he just got forced out of his fight. So there you go. Now you have both options potentially in October, November.
You know, I know, I understand if they don't want to wait that long or whatever, but man, I'm not gonna fight before then. So if they get a fight, cool. If not, then, you know, your boy will be available in October, November time frame.
There you go. Well, congratulations again, Eryk. Hard fought, gritty win against a wily veteran. Go ahead, enjoy it. Enjoy the family. Enjoy your summer, and look forward to your return later on this year. Thanks again, man, for the time as always.
Hey, pleasure. Thank you for having me.